That's a great finish, and she has set her stall out early. Great finish. In true Ostapenko fashion, expect plenty of winners. Two-time finalist. Simple finish at the end.
Let me start with something that is going to genuinely upset a lot of people watching this right now. There is a story spreading across the tennis internet that is not just wrong, it is dangerously, irresponsibly, spectacularly wrong. And the reason it spread so fast is because it gave heartbroken fans something to hold on to. It gave them a villain. It gave them a reason. Because the alternative, the actual truth, is so much more painful to accept. So before you say another word in any comment section, before you share another post, before you believe another single frame of that match you rewatched 5 times looking for evidence of something that was never there, you need to sit down and watch this video from start to finish. Because what really happened at the Linz Open round of 16 between Alexandra Eala and Jeļena Ostapenko is one of the most psychologically fascinating and brutally honest stories in women's tennis this entire season. And it has nothing to do with cheating. Now if you are new here, welcome to Pro Sal, where we do not do clickbait, we do not do fan service, and we do not sugarcoat outcomes just because a fan base is emotionally invested. We cover the WTA Tour with complete honesty, and today that honesty is going to sting. But it is going to teach you something real about the sport you love. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and let us get into it. So here is the version of events that took over the internet. Ostapenko, down a set and trailing 5-1 in the second, allegedly called a suspicious medical timeout or used some form of psychological gamesmanship to illegally disrupt Alex's momentum and steal a match she had no business winning. That version is emotionally satisfying if you are an Alex fan. It is also completely false. There was no cheating. There was no phantom medical timeout. There was no conspiracy. And the moment you understand what actually did happen, you will realize the truth is far more uncomfortable than any manufactured scandal could ever be. Let us go back to the beginning of this match, because that is where the real story starts. And it starts with Alexandra Eala playing some of the most tactically sophisticated tennis you will ever see from a 20-year-old going up against a former Grand Slam champion on that champion's best surface. Think about what Alex walked into that day. Red clay. Ostapenko, a player who won the French Open in 2017, who hits the ball harder than almost any woman alive, whose flat ground strokes travel at speeds that give you fractions of a second to respond. Most players walk onto that court and just try to survive. Alex did not come to survive. She came with a plan. From the very first game, she was using her left-handed topspin, the kind of heavy, looping ball she developed coming through the Rafa Nadal Academy, and she was using it to do something really specific. She was pushing Ostapenko out of her comfort zone geometrically. She was forcing her to hit up on the ball, dragging her wide, pulling her away from the middle of the court, taking away the flat strike zones that make Ostapenko so dangerous. And it was working. Alex broke early. She dictated rallies. She climbed to a 4-2 lead in that opening set, and the crowd in Austria was genuinely buzzing because they were watching something special unfold. But here is where the match started whispering its first warning, and most people missed it entirely. Even when Alex was winning, she was not finishing. She was building advantages and then letting them breathe instead of suffocating them completely. That is a very subtle thing, and it does not show up in the score at that point, but it matters enormously when your opponent is a player like Ostapenko. Because Ostapenko does not slowly build her way back into a match. She does not chip away. She detonates. And that is exactly what happened. Ostapenko flipped a switch that no one in that stadium saw coming. She started reading Alex's serve better. Her returns got sharper. And suddenly those flat ground strokes that Alex had been so carefully managing, They started finding the lines. For consecutive games. The first set was gone, 6-4. Now a lot of players crumble after something like that. You build a 4-2 lead against a Grand Slam champion on clay, you lose the set from there, the doubt creeps in, the legs get heavy, the mind starts telling you terrible things. Alex did not crumble. She did something genuinely remarkable. She came out in the second set with completely renewed aggression and she started breaking Ostapenko's serve like it owed her money. 1 break. 2 breaks. She climbed to 5-1. That is a lead that statistically ends matches. That is a lead that professional commentators call commanding. The television cameras were already framing the story as a comeback narrative. Alex loses the first set, bounces back, forces a third. Her coaching team was on their feet. The Filipina fans watching at home were calculating travel plans to the quarterfinals. And then something happened that broke the internet and sent an entire fanbase spiraling into conspiracy theories. At 5-1 down, staring at a third set that seemed inevitable, Jeļena Ostapenko lost her composure at the worst possible moment. There was a spectator in the crowd. We do not know exactly what was said, but the altercation was loud, it was visible, and it stopped play. Cameras caught it. Ostapenko was visibly heated. And right there, that is the exact moment where the casual observer watching on a screen made a catastrophically incorrect assumption. They assumed that this was calculated. They assumed Ostapenko was buying time, disrupting Alex's rhythm, using the drama as a tactical delay. And that assumption went viral. Here is the thing though, and this is what you need to understand about tennis psychology at the elite level. Ostapenko's relationship with emotional chaos is genuinely unlike almost any other player on tour. Most players, when they lose their temper, when they start arguing or emoting on court, it signals the beginning of the end. For Ostapenko, it is the opposite. That anger, that confrontation, that hostile energy, it wakes something up in her. It does not scatter her focus. It sharpens it to a point. It is almost paradoxical. She found herself in a war with a crowd member and it was like someone poured jet fuel directly into her game. What happened after that confrontation was not cheating. What happened after that confrontation was one of the most terrifying individual performances you will see in women's tennis this year. Ostapenko stepped inside the baseline, not just to the baseline but inside it, aggressively, dangerously close, and she started hitting the ball at a completely different velocity and a completely different angle. Not harder for the sake of it. Harder and more precisely. She was attacking every single ball Alex hit before Alex could set her feet. Return winners to the deepest corners of the court. Flat forehands that whistled past Alex before she could lift her racket. The time between contact and the ball landing on Alex's side of the court was genuinely inhuman. 6 consecutive games. 6. From 5-1 down in the second set. Ostapenko won the second set 7-5 and the match was over in 1 hour and 43 minutes. Now let us talk about what that scoreline actually means, because this is the part that is hardest to hear if you are an Alex fan. Alex did not lose because she was cheated. She did not lose because of a dodgy timeout or a referee's error or some invisible manipulation of the match. She lost because she had a Grand Slam champion pinned to the floor and she did not deliver the killing blow. That is the brutal, honest, clinical reality of what happened on that red clay in Austria. When you lead 5-1 and you still have the serve to come and you are playing one of the most volatile players on the entire tour, you have one job. You close it. You do not rely on your opponent continuing to make errors. You do not wait for them to give you the match. You go and take it. Alex has the game to do that. Her topspin, her movement, her ability to fight from behind, which she proved multiple times in this very match, is already extraordinary for her age and her ranking. But there is a very specific skill that separates the great fighters from the cold-blooded finishers, and that is the ability to recognize the moment when an opponent is genuinely vulnerable and respond to it with maximum controlled aggression. Ostapenko at 5-1 down, misfiring, spraying balls wide, double faulting, that was the window. That was the moment. And instead of stepping inside the baseline herself and imposing her own terms on the match, Alex retreated into defensive patterns. Drop shots. Slices. Waiting. Conserving. It is not a mental weakness. It is a developmental stage. And every elite player goes through it. The difference between who Alex is right now and who she is going to become in the next 12 months depends almost entirely on whether she and her coaching team can build a genuine finishing weapon, something she can deploy under pressure when a big match is there to be taken. Because the next time she has Ostapenko or someone like Ostapenko pinned at 5-1, the result has to be different. The cheating narrative is dead. It was never alive to begin with. What is very much alive is Alexandra Eala's career and the education she just received in Linz. She is 20 years old. She went deep in a WTA event against a French Open champion and played stretches of tennis that genuinely made neutral fans stop and pay attention. That is not a failure. That is a chapter. But the next chapter has to be written with a killer instinct she has not fully developed yet. And the entire WTA tour should be paying very close attention to when she does.